guys, today we're going to look at how to identify points on a number line. All right, we're going to start with two positive examples and then look at two negative examples. So we're going to start by finding the point, and then you're going to circle the two whole numbers on either side of the point. So in this case, I would circle 0 and 1. Now, I circle these so that I don't forget to look to see if I need a whole number in my answers. Now in this case, I'm always going to pick the number that's closest to 0. 0 is closest to 0, so I know that a 0 will be at the beginning, so I don't need to put a 0 in front of my fraction. I can put a 0 in front of the decimal, and I don't really need to put a 0 there either. Okay, now I'm going to make a train. So basically I'm going to draw a rectangle that goes from one whole number to the next, around the number line, and then where there are these tick marks, I'm going to draw a vertical line, sort of like making the box cars on a train. Okay, now I'm going to find my point, and I'm going to shade the side that's closest to 0. So here's my point. 0 is on this side, so I'm only going to shade the pieces on this side of the train. So I'll shade this piece, and not this one because it's on the other side. Okay, and now the only thing left to do is to actually name my fraction. How many did I shade? 1, 2, 3. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4. Because remember, a fraction is part over whole. Okay, so if that's my fraction, then I can convert that to a decimal by dividing. That goes in 0 times. That goes in 7 times, which is 28. Bring down a 0. And 4 goes into 25 times. So 0.75 or 75 hundredths. And then to make a percent, decimal 2%, to the right we went. 1, 2, that would be 75%. Okay, let's try another example. All right, here again, I'm going to first find my point, and I'm going to circle the whole numbers on either side. So I have a whole number here, and I have a whole number here. Now remember, you're going to use the whole number that's closest to 0. So in this case, 2 is closer to 0, so I know that all of these are going to have a 2 at the beginning. So this will have a 2 whole number, this will be 2 point something, and this will start with a 2. Okay, and you want to make sure you do that so you don't forget to put the whole number in your answer. Because sometimes I have people just doing, the fraction part and then they forget the whole number. So make sure you always start with needing to know which one you actually need if you have a whole number. Okay, so now I'm going to draw a rectangle from one whole number to the next. And then again, I'm going to draw vertical lines at each little tick mark to make my box cars. Now, I'm going to shade the side closest to 0. So here's B. So this side is closer to 0. So I'm only going to shade that one piece. Okay, now I can name my fraction. I have one piece shaded out of 1, 2, 3 pieces. Again, I can divide that fraction to get the decimal. Goes in 0 times. 3 goes into 10 3 times, which is 9. I subtract and I get a 1 again, so I know it's repeating. And then decimal 2%, to the right we went. If I go twice here, since this is repeating, I know another 3 is after it, so it would be 233. Since I can't put a line over a whole number, I have to add a decimal and put one more 3 before I put the line, and then the percent sign. Okay, so 233.3 repeating percent, or you could also say 233.33%. All right, so now let's look at some on the negative side of the number line. Okay, same concept. I'm going to find my point, and I'm going to circle the two whole numbers. In this case, it's a whole number and an integer on either side. So I've got -1 and I've got 0. Okay, which one is closer to 0? Well, 0 is. So again, I know I'm going to have a 0 with all of these, and I really only need to write it right here for the decimal. Okay, make the train. So I'm going to draw the rectangle. And then draw my boxcars, a vertical line at each mark. Now be careful, remember you're shading the side closest to 0. And since this is the negative side of the number line, 0 is now on this side. So here's 0, so I'm going to shade everything to the right in this case. So this one, and this one. Okay, now I can name my fraction. I have 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, make sure you're very careful. Remember, you're on the negative side, so you can't forget your negative sign. In fact, I would go ahead and put it in every single blank so you don't forget a negative somewhere. Okay, now I can change this to a decimal. 0. 5 goes into 36 times, so that's -6/10. And then decimal 2%, to the right we went. So that would be 1, 2, -60%. Okay, let's look at one more example. Here's my point. I'm going to circle the two numbers, in this case the two integers on either side. -3 and -2. Okay, and which one of these do I need? Well, this one is closer to 0 because 0 would be that way. So -2 is the number I'm going to need. Again, I'm on the negative side, so it's good for me to go ahead and put my negative sign as well. So -2, -2 point something, -2. Okay, now I'm going to make my train. Okay, and then make each boxcar. All right, and then again, shade the side closer to 0. Again, 0 is over here, so I'm going to shade this piece and this piece. Okay, so how many did I shade? I shaded 2 out of 4. Now I'm going to actually write it here because I know that can be reduced. 2/4, I can divide that by 2/2. And that would be 1/2. So I know that this is -2 1/2. Then I can divide that to make my decimal. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So that'd be -2.5 or 2 5/10. And then decimal 2%, to the right we went. 1, 2, that'd be -250%. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Keep practicing and see you next time.